Imagine standing at the edge of a cliff, the wind whipping past you, the sun setting in a blaze of orange and purple. You reach into your pocket, pull out a device no larger than a deck of cards, and capture that moment in a resolution so sharp it feels more real than your own memory. This is the promise of the DJI Osmo Action 7. For months, the rumors have been swirling. The leaks have been dripping out of supply chains in Shenzhen, and the tech world has been holding its breath. Is DJI about to kill the action camera market as we know it, or are we looking at a minor spec bump hidden behind clever marketing? Today, we aren't just looking at a spec sheet. We are diving into the soul of what makes an action camera a pro. We're talking about a rumored 8K sensor that might actually be usable, AI-driven stabilization that rivals a 3-axis gimbal, and a battery life that seems to defy the laws of physics. If you've been thinking about upgrading your gear or switching from GoPro, you cannot afford to look away. By the end of this deep dive, you will know exactly why the Action 7 is the most controversial camera of 2026, and more importantly, if it's the right tool for your specific story. The first thing we have to address is the elephant in the room, 8K. For years, 8K has been a buzzword, a marketing gimmick used to sell expensive televisions and high-end cinema cameras that most of us can't afford. But DJI is rumored to be bringing 8K at 60 frames per second to the Action 7. Let that sink in. We aren't talking about a choppy 15 frame per second slideshow. We're talking about buttery smooth, ultra-high-definition motion. But here's the catch that no one is telling you. 8K is a nightmare for your computer. To process that much data, you need a machine that costs more than a used car. So, why is DJI doing it? It's not just about the resolution. It's about the crop factor. Imagine filming a mountain bike descent in 4K. If you want to zoom in on a specific detail in post-production, you lose quality instantly. In 8K, you have 4 times the pixels of 4K. You can crop in, reframe your shot, and still export a crystal-clear 4K video. It's like having a multi-camera setup in a single lens. But is the sensor actually large enough to handle those pixels? The leaks suggest a new 1-inch stacked CMOS sensor. If this is true, it changes everything. A larger sensor means better low-light performance, less noise, and that creamy background blur that action cameras have traditionally struggled with. Let's talk about the design because, let's be honest, the action camera form factor has been stagnant for a decade. Leaked renders of the Osmo Action 7 show a slightly more ruggedized body with a massive heat sink integrated into the front plate. This is crucial. If you've ever used an action camera in the summer heat of Florida or the deserts of Arizona, you know the dreaded overheating message. It's the silent killer of great content. DJI seems to be pivoting toward a thermal-first design. The rumors suggest that the Action 7 can record 8K continuously for over 40 minutes without shutting down. If they pull this off, it puts the competition in a very difficult spot. But it's not just about staying cool. It's about the interface. We're seeing reports of a 2.8-inch OLED rear touchscreen. Why does that matter? Because when you're out in the bright midday sun, standard LCD screens wash out. You can't see if your shot is in focus or if your exposure is blown out. An OLED screen provides the contrast and brightness needed to actually see what you're filming, even in the harshest lighting conditions. But a camera is only as good as its stability. DJI's Rocksteady has always been a top-tier contender, but for 2026, they are rumored to be introducing Rocksteady 4.0 Neural. This isn't just electronic image stabilization. It's AI-predicted stabilization. The camera's internal processor is reportedly trained on millions of hours of action footage to predict where the camera is going to shake before it even happens. Think about that for a second. It's like having a tiny, invisible hand holding the camera perfectly still. Whether you're running through a forest or mounted to the hood of a rally car, the horizon stays level and the jitters vanish. This level of tech usually requires a massive external gimbal, but DJI is shrinking it into a pocket-sized cube. However, there's a darker side to this AI integration. Some purists argue that AI stabilization makes footage look too perfect, almost robotic. It loses the energy of the action. We'll have to see how DJI balances realism with smoothness, but for the average creator, this is a game changer. Now, let's pivot to a feature that almost no one is talking about, but will define your experience: the audio. Action camera audio has historically been, well, terrible. Wind noise, muffled voices, and that tinny underwater sound. The Action 7 leaks suggest a 3-mic array with a new acoustic shield technology. This isn't just a software filter. It's a physical design change that uses the wind itself to deflect noise away from the microphone diaphragms. Combine that with the rumored native integration for the DJI Mic 3, and you have a professional vlogging setup that requires 0 cables. Imagine jumping into a lake, climbing out, and immediately being able to record clear, crisp audio without waiting for the mics to dry out. That is the kind of workflow efficiency that separates a toy from a tool.